8 games played, 8 draws. The players are really fighting hard, but up till now, neither has made the big breakthrough. With just 4 games to go, this World Championship match couldn't be closer. But the big news from yesterday's free day is that Magnus Carlsen has been injured. He loves to play football, and during a 5-a-side match, he smashed into a Norwegian journalist. They were playing with the NRK broadcast team, and Magnus got a black eye. Tell us what happened, Emil.
We were playing football, soccer, and Magnus had the ball, and I thought, okay, gonna have to stop Magnus so he doesn't score. So I ran against him, and when he was looking up to see where I was looking down to look at the ball, and my left eye, his left eye, and yeah, I fell to the ground. Magnus took the ball, kept running, and then Brede, Magnus's doctor, looked at me, and I saw when he, as a doctor, was worried. I figured, okay, what's going on? And I had blood all over my face.
Would Carlsen's injury affect his play? It seemed not. The world champion played the English opening, and the players repeated the line from game 4. Carlsen was the first to deviate with 9 bishop g5, a line not favoured by the computers but slightly weakening Caruana's kingside. The idea was to bring the challenger out of his opening preparation, and it worked. Caruana felt uncomfortable, using up lots of time, and he took the fundamental decision to exchange off his centrally placed bishop for a knight, clarifying the situation but accepting a permanent, if slight, disadvantage. This is exactly the kind of position that Carlsen excels in, squeezing the life out of his opponents in marathon games. But Caruana defended very coolly, counterattacking at exactly the right moment to eliminate the danger. A draw was inevitable, though Carlsen continued on doggedly, without changing the results. The world champion was clearly disappointed that he'd not been able to achieve much from a promising position, and his irritation showed after the game.
On the broadcasting with Judith Polgar, she couldn't understand why you were playing so long in the endgame. So when did you understand that this was a draw?
So, Magnus, I think the question for you, why were you playing on so long? When did you understand it was a draw?
When did I understand it was a draw? I understood it immediately. That doesn't mean you shouldn't play. I'm trying to entice him to play h5, and if he does play h5, then I at least have a target. But obviously, if he just keeps still and keeps his fortress just waiting for my king to enter, then there's nothing. But I mean, there's no harm in playing, and I really don't understand the point.
We are now only 3 more draws away from a potential tiebreak, and a lot of people think that Magnus would be a very strong favorite in this tiebreak. Do you also think so, or do you have a different opinion on that?
No, I'm really not thinking about the tiebreak now. I mean, if we get there, then I'll start to think about it. But there's still a lot of chess to be played, and yeah, I really don't agree with most people about my chances in the tiebreak.
Magnus has his kind of position on the board. What I mean is the kind of situation where he can press for hours. We thought this was going to be a really long game. He advanced the h-pawn, so he's gaining space on the king side. And Caruana has to react really precisely here. If white can gain space again, that would be very strong. So Caruana played pawn to g6. Now, given time, black will be able to close the position with h5. So Magnus pressed on again. If black hesitates here, plays a normal looking move like king here, then white will be able to play king g2, possibly rook over to the h-file, and it looks quite promising. So Caruana made a very bold defensive decision, and that was to take this pawn. Now, this shatters black's kingside pawns. If white could, for example, collect this pawn on h5 with, let's say, king g2, bishop f3, rook h1, and take here, this would be fantastic for white. But it's not possible to control the situation because black always is able to advance here. Well, Magnus tried. First of all, queen here, controlling the h4 square. f5 from Caruana. Excellent move. Opens up the queen's diagonal here, so just gives additional control. Bishop f3. If white can take this pawn, it's doing very well. And crunch moment, this has to be played. Otherwise, white has a fantastic position. Carlsen exchanged. And then he took this pawn. Well, you can see that the situation has changed completely because white's structure is now a little bit damaged with this pawn here. So a check from Caruana. Carlsen put the king in the corner, and then queen f6, a really solid move, protecting the king along this diagonal. And basically white's attack is completely over here. You can see black's king is really secure, and indeed white has to be a bit careful because this pawn is a little bit loose. So Carlsen ended up exchanging pieces, and inevitably that led to a draw. Big disappointment for Carlsen after a promising opening, and now with 3 games to go, I would say it's advantage to Caruana because he has 2 whites remaining. Carlsen only has 1 white.